Today, we're going to get an AI that builds a website for us completely on autopilot. I don't need to know how to code. You don't need to know how to code. It will do it all for us. So let's just jump straight in and do it. So we're going to use a program today called ChatDev, which is a open source library. So it's free. It's easy to use. You can find it by just going to Google and searching for ChatDev. And then it will pop up as the top answer on here. So let me zoom in a bit so you guys can see a bit easier. But this is the website. They've got cool little icons. You can see it is a company of coders that's entirely AI. So you don't need to do anything. They will do it with it all for you. You'll have a program manager, like a CTO, a tester, a developer, a whole team of people. There's a brilliant video here. Whole team of people that's all AI, so you don't need to hire anyone, you don't need to do anything, and they will just make your project for you. So how do you go about doing that? You can just download this. So at the top somewhere, you can go code and download zip. And then once you've done that, let me just jump to the folder that we've downloaded it to. So this is the folder here. You will then need to pull up a command prompt. So if you press Windows key and R and then type CMD, this is the Windows command prompt. I'll zoom in a bit for you. And then you just CD to that folder. So I'm using a different drive. So I just need to type the drive letter to make sure that it definitely changes over. And from here, you then need to install the requirements. So hopefully you have Python installed. If you don't have Python installed, just Google for Python, sorry. And then just download and install that. Just that depends on your particular version of Windows and stuff. Once you've installed that, we're going to set up what's called a virtual environment. So that is so that it keeps all of your libraries in a separate place so that you don't mess up your computer, because you don't want to mess up your computer, right? But ultimately, we're just going to go Python-m VM, and then we'll call it VM. I've already done this, so I'm not going to run it again. But this is basically saying run the virtual environment thing to set up a virtual environment in the folder VM. And then from there, we will just run VM scripts activate. It's lowercase, yeah, activate.bat in this case because I'm running on Windows. If you're running on Mac or Linux, you don't need the .bat. And in fact, if you're running on on Mac or Linux, you probably need source in front of that. But for Windows, we just run that. You'll notice that this now has changed us to our virtual environment. That's cool. And then we will just run Python-R, Python install-R requirements. And so what that does is it looks at the requirements.txt file and it finds all of the libraries that it needs and it installs them. I'm an idiot. Not pip install-R requirements, Python install package. So this, I've already done it, so it's going to be super quick, but you might have to download some stuff. This basically goes out, finds all the libraries you need, and then we'll just install them. From here, once it's installed them, what we're going to do is we're now going to run ChatDev. So we're going to tell it what we want to do, so what we want to build. So Python, again, because we're running via Python, run.py, because that's the library in use. We just put a much more cool background on. Python run.py, and then we do --task, and then here's where we write our task. So in this instance, I wrote build me a website that has a random joke. Well, let me just copy and paste what I've done so it's much easier for you guys to see. I want to make sure that I'm being honest and legitimate. So I used build me a website that has a random joke every time the page is refreshed. Require the punchline to be hidden behind a button press. Make sure that the website already has 100 jokes in it. And additionally, the fun thing that I did is --config art. That --config art means it will cost more money with OpenAI, but actually it will make some random images for you. So I'm gonna pretend I've run that, but I won't run that just now. And in fact, I can show you the output. So here's the output here. It did lots of spammy stuff, but ultimately, this little website, it cost me 25 cents. It took 6 rounds of doing it, and probably the most expensive thing in this case is the --art, because it created a bunch of images for like 1 to 6, which was a bit weird, but that's what it made. So let me just look in here. So that the ultimate file that it made was this, and it made like a random background like this, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it made all of those images, and making images is more expensive with OpenAI. I would probably then make some stuff with Midjourney. But to give you some clues, it made this file. I did slightly adjust it because I put it in the middle, but like you don't need to do that. And I shoved the static images under a static folder because it was a bit messy how it was. And it also made this jokes.txt file, which in what it made for me, it only made about 10, but I just shoved into ChatGPT. I said, using this same style of, or using this same format, give me an extra 100 jokes, and it gave me 69. Nice. Nice. But from there, it's then allowed me to do what I need to do. So the interesting thing here is, let me just look at the folder structure it created. So once it's finished doing all that it does, let me come to here, it will drop back to the terminal. So I'm not going to make you sit for it because it takes about 10 minutes to do it. However, you may notice every so often it'll say, here is the folder that you need. So I'm going to copy that. You highlight it and then push enter to copy that in the Windows terminal. Here is something that I've already dropped into the folder, but we'll go into it again. So you literally just type CD and that. To create a new window, you just click plus. I'm sure you can figure that out, but we'll CD to that folder and check what's in it. So I don't know what you're making. So the slight catch is that whilst I know what I've produced here, like maybe you're producing an affiliate website, maybe you're producing a game of Pong, maybe you're producing a Java app that can land a spaceship on the moon. I don't know what you're doing. I'm going to have to guess. So for my particular one, I see that main.py exists. So I know it's Python. I could have specified that I want you to write in Python or Java, etc., etc. So in this instance, because it's Python, we can do the same thing that we did before. So pip install -r requirements. I've already done this. I forgot to change to the virtual environment, so I'm not going to run this again because that one's installed globally. But once that's run, you can then just do Python main.py. And you'll notice it says we're now running on this thing. I can control and click on that, he says. Apparently it doesn't pop it up in the main window, and this will load my random joke thing. So what do you get if you cross a cat with a dark horse? Kitty Perry. What do you call a dog magician? A labracadabra. What do you get when you cross the fridge with a radio? Cool music. Why did the math book look sad? Because it had too many problems. Like, brilliant. But there we go. Like, I've made a really simple website here. There's actually like a little a way of showing what it's done as it's building. So I dropped out so you didn't have to watch it. But you can, in the same ChatDev folder, run Python online log app. And in here, it says it's loaded, but you actually have to give it a minute to load because for whatever reason. But it will produce this page here. Let me zoom out slightly. And you then just click File Upload and you go to the folder. So in the warehouse folder, that same file that we saw at the end once the application was finished. So this you can go to this directory and then you can just load the text file that you'll see in there, and then you click replay. I've already clicked this, so I don't know if it's going to moan because we've already clicked it once. Yeah, so okay. Let's imagine this thing was slightly better. Let's upload again from scratch. And what you'll see is this is how it made the file. So the first thing it did was it got the CEO involved, the Chief Executive Officer. And it said, look, we want to make some images for some, this is describing what his powers are and what he should do for the project. And then he's decided that based on what I put in, we need a website. And then they start talking about ideas for the website. They decided that Python was probably the best language that we should choose. And then they go through extra stuff like building up the code. So here we go. It's got the get random joke code. It's got get a list of jokes. Then here was the main web page. So thankfully I do understand code, so like I know what's going on here, but just to explain for you guys, so it's made a dummy text file here. This was jokes.txt. It's pipe separated them as jokes. I had to delete this from the final result because else I was getting a joke of dash dash dash, and it didn't do those extra 100 jokes. But like I say, just throw it in ChatGPT. You can do some extra stuff, and then it will start building on it. And it makes it slightly better, it adds extra things. I won't go through all this, but you can see that it's done some really cool things from here, right? And it's just kept building up and up and up and up, and it's essentially still going through. This thing's super slow, I don't know if I can speed it up. But from there, it's built my wonderful website here. And so I had the slight advantage that I knew what I was doing when it came to improving the code. However, let's pretend that you don't. So let's pretend I'm in this situation here. So I'm in the folder of my new little thing in my Majigger. I want you to now run a new command. So pip install ada-chat. So what is ada chat? Ada chat is a cool little thing that will help you develop code like in real time. So let's say for whatever reason I didn't like the title. I've quit the, let me reload the app so you can follow along. CD, have I still got that in there? Yeah, beautiful. Python main. So let's pretend for whatever reason that I didn't like this title random joke. So if we go back to my Ada install, which is just getting there, I type Ada dot, he says, gotta love it when I does this, right? Python Ada. Screw you. So my problem here is that my Python path's not correct. So give me a second, I'll just sort this out. Sorry about that. It was a pretty easy fix. I forgot to run the activate command. So the VN script activate. Once you run that, I'm now in the correct virtual environment. Me pointing at the screen doesn't help. So I'm now in the correct virtual environment. And now if I run, and then once I've gone to that correct virtual environment, I could type pip install ada-chat. Make that a little bit wider for you guys. And then once I've typed that, I can then type ada dot. I just go on a new line. It doesn't like it when you resize it, ada dot. So what this then does is this will say we're now in like a chat conversation area of the app that we've got. So let's say, so you've got the choice to add files to this and it can look through the files and stuff. So I don't like the title of my website. Can you change it to Ash's random joke? So give it a second, as it's the first time we've run anything. It's just building a map of the repository of your local code, and it's gonna moan that it doesn't have access to the files. It should normally tell you which file it needs to look at, but it didn't in this instance. Index.html, I feel like we don't want to be looking in. Oh, this is screwing us royally. The problem here is that ChatDev is a Git repository. So this living under here will mean that it's getting very confused about, it's taking into account the whole of ChatDev as a repository that we want. So what we ideally want to do is we would just want to move this whole folder to somewhere completely different. So I'm just going to find a location on the hard drive without showing you all my files. I'll be a second. Right, so I've moved that to iJokesite. So it's exactly the same as it was, but it now lives under not the ChatDev repository, because that's less than ideal. So if I go to JokeSite now, if I run the same command ada dot, and I source the new virtual environment, because you have to. What is it? It's under VM, isn't it? VM scripts activate. This might moan, and we might just have to make a new virtual environment. Hairpins. Let's make a new virtual environment. rm minus rf vm. rm we're on Windows. Oh, yes, brilliant. So now we will do exactly what we did earlier, -m vm, which means let's create a new virtual environment called vm. You could name it anything you want. And there we go. We should just now be able to activate that VM. Python, in fact, pip install -r requirements.txt. So that's installing all of the requirements for our little website. And then let's just install Ada Chat again, and then give it 2 minutes. So apologies for that. Make sure you're in the right folder. Make sure you're not like it's kind of bad on ChatDev that it puts it in that folder, really, because you shouldn't really be living under the repository. There's also a bunch of examples under there, which is cool, but you don't want to download that every time you download ChatDev. But that's the ChatDev developers. Right. So now we are ready to go. We can type ada dot. And this will load up our repository again. We'll just say, yes, we want to add the repo. I want to change the title of my joke page to say Ash's jokes. And this is going to say that it doesn't have access to the file, which is cool. And I'm hoping it would just complete it for me. Templates, why is it? Oh, this is so painful. Yeah, init dot. Yeah, add. Okay, there we go. So, oh god, it's having a VM. Okay, this is fun, isn't it? Get reset. Git add -a. Shouldn't be adding VMs. This is very frustrating. Git reset -hard. Is that going to screw me over? cat.gitignore. Doesn't exist, of course it doesn't. Oh, .gitignore. There we go. Should be fine. Vi.gitignore. So I'm just cheating slightly in that I'm doing some extra commands that are not that helpful for you. Ugh, that's fun in Windows, isn't it? Open the end. So what I've done there is Ada works on Git repositories. There's a file called gitignore, and by adding the Ada folder to the gitignore, I've essentially said, hey, look, adding the VM folder to the gitignore, I'm basically saying ignore all of the Python libraries because they're not the code, they're just like convenient stuff that's there. If you use global, you wouldn't have this problem, but I don't want to overwrite my global libraries. And so now, what essentially has been added to this Git repository is everything here, apart from that VM and Ada gets added automatically. I should probably remove idea because that's to do with IntelliJ, but I don't need it. But now, when I do some stuff, it's aware of everything that's in the repo, and so in theory, yeah, we can now see index.html. And now, if I was to say I want to change the title of my page to Ash's jokes, it's going to say, oh, you need to modify the index.html file. It searches. So this is replaced the title, actually. So instead of random joke up here, it will now say Ash's jokes. Say I also want to replace the H1, because actually I was thinking H1. So this random joke here. So this has now replaced that H1 with random joke. So in this other window, because it's not set to reload, I'm just going to type Python main again. And if I refresh this page, here we go, it's now called Ash's Jokes. So it's only a simple example that we've added Ash's Jokes, but I want to add a button below the joke response, which allows it to refresh the page to get the next joke. So again, I'm not doing anything clever here. It's figuring out how to do this for me. So it's going, oh, where the punchline was, I'm going to add a new button that replaces it. So because of how I've loaded it, I'm again going to have to just exit, so Control C, and then just run again. It depends entirely on what method you're using as to whether you need to do that or not. Here we go. Why don't skeletons fight each other? They don't have guts. Next joke. Why did the janitor say jumped out of the closet? Supplies. Why did the MacBook look sad? Because it had too many problems. But yeah, you get the idea. And right now I'm improving the code. Not only has it made the website for me, I'm making it better. So maybe I want to add that button on a new line. Maybe I want to add a nice menu bar at the top. Maybe I want to add a link to my website. Maybe I want to go through the code and clean it up. Maybe I want to change the background color of this. All of that's achievable by using this little Ada thing. So I want to change background color of the main container. That sounds legitimate, doesn't it? To yellow, and the text within it to red. Like, I don't know why you'd do that, but I don't need to know any code at all. This does it. You can have your website do all these things and never have to know a single line of code. If you get stuck, if anything doesn't work, you just keep using Ada and keep saying, make it better, like keep improving it. I mean, I can guess pretty quickly that background color and color must be the commands that you use when you're trying to do things, and I'm effectively learning code whilst we're doing it. There we go, Ash's Jokes. Why did the golfer bring 2 pairs of pants? In case you got a hole in one. Brilliant jokes as well. Anyway, I love this website. I love how all of it works, and I really look forward to you guys spending more time figuring it out. If there's more things you want me to do, like what would be the next best thing? I was thinking of maybe doing an affiliate marketing series, so how to make an affiliate marketing blog from zero to hero, but it depends on what you want. Let me know, leave a thing in the comments, and maybe I'll get around to doing it. But if not, have a great day, and I'll catch you soon.